Tonight you'll hear from Board of Education President Jennifer Adair, Board of Education member Carol Beckerly, and Board of Education member Christina Vera regarding contract negotiations with the Columbus Education Association. We'll begin with statements from each of the board members. Board President Adair will then be available to answer questions from the media, and we will not be doing any one-on-one interviews after the press conference. Now I'd like to welcome up Columbus City Schools Board of Education President Jennifer Adair.
Good evening. As I stated at last night's school board meeting, the board remains focused on welcoming our students and teachers back to school on August 24th. This is why we began negotiations with the Columbus Education Association, CEA, in March and held 19 meetings to ensure we had time to complete the negotiation process well before the start of school. Unfortunately, today, we had to file an unfair labor practice charge with the State Employment Relation Board in response to misinformation communicated by CEA. We will make the filing available to you, but I wanted to review a few key points. We do not take this action lightly. We value our teachers and all of our staff. They are critical to our mission. The first piece of misinformation that can be found in our unfair labor practice charge involves CEA's statement that the board's final offer does not include smaller class sizes, even though the class size numbers show it would not be an additional cost. This is false. As we have explained to SERB in our filing, the board's final offer does include smaller class sizes. The board proposed to phase in a continued reduction class size up to the 5th grade. And for our high school teachers, we have memorialized the agreement that they will instruct no more than 150 students per day, not including study halls. The second misconception, CEA stated that the board's final offer does not include functional heating and air conditioning in classrooms, even though the board has the money to provide it without costs to the community. This is extremely misleading. Well before contract negotiations began, the board approved funding from the federal COVID dollars to upgrade the HVAC in the remaining 16 district buildings that had not yet been upgraded. The board prioritized these federal dollars for HVAC work. This process is ongoing, and the board's final offer also addresses our commitment to ensure that our buildings have power, heat, air conditioning, and water to create learning environments that promote the well-being of our students and teachers. The last series of misconceptions that we explain in our filing are about CEA's statement that the board's final offer does not include working conditions that recruit and retain the best educators for our students. This is false. The board's final offer prioritizes the ability to recruit and retain the best educators and includes the following: wages, salary increases that exceed the average teacher increase across Central Ohio and the state. When you read the ULP filing, you will see the board's final offer included a wage increase of 3% for 2022-23, 3% for 2023-24, and 3% for 2024-2025. Additionally, they will receive stipends, a stipend for the sole purpose of recruitment and retention. This bonus of $2,000 is paid out over 4 payments during the 2022, 2023, and 2023-2024 school years. Let's talk about benefits. Paid family leave. New paid family leave above and beyond employees' sick leave for birth, adoption, or foster payments for the purposes of adoption of a child. This leave will be available for the birth or adoptive foster parent and for non-birth parents. This is a new benefit. Our buildings. There's a commitment that new and renovated elementary schools will be designed with rooms for art and music classes. Special ed. There will be more flexibility and time for special education lead teachers to write IEPs, and more time for special education lead teachers and related service providers to attend IEP meetings and complete IEP paperwork. Meeting our students' needs. A continuing education program in which teachers can complete coursework at board expense for high needs licensure, certification, and/or endorsement areas. Upon completion, teachers may then volunteer to be assigned to high needs positions and will receive up to a $10,000 stipend. These are just a few of the examples of misinformation contained in our unfair labor practice charge. It is disappointing that the CEA is not fully transparent with its own members and the public, and the board strongly felt we needed to address this misinformation, and that is why we have filed a charge with the State Employment Relations Board. Next, I would like to have Board Member Carol Beckerly come up to discuss some of the contract provisions. Board Member Beckerly.
Thank you all for being here this evening. As a former CCS teacher, I believe I have some sense of how our teachers feel. I too felt frustrated, which is why I ran for this position. I also know how hard it will be to set aside those frustrations and carefully consider the board's final offer. I want to assure our community that we ran through scenarios, pressed our financial team, and came up with contract language, the vast majority of which has already been agreed upon, and a compensation package that recognizes our teachers are integral to the success of our students. I would like to highlight that our final offer exceeds the average of state and local teaching salary increases, includes new and innovative leave benefits that no other school district in Central Ohio offers, and provides creative opportunities for our teachers to grow professionally in their career with the district. I also want to stress that throughout this entire negotiation, our positions were grounded in our goals and our guardrails and our portrait of a graduate, demonstrating our commitment as a board to changing culture and improving student outcomes. I also want to address that some of the misinformation that suggests the district is top-heavy when it comes to administrators. This idea that we are top-heavy is not only inaccurate when looking at administrator-student ratios across the state, it's not the right metric. The correct metric is student outcomes. We have begun monitoring those outcomes vigorously and continuously at the board table. And if the needle isn't moving on our student outcomes, there will be more adjustments. As a board member, I now understand the complexities of the budget process. This offer demonstrates our appreciation for and recognition of the commitment of the teacher's commitment to our students, families, and school district. I firmly believe that our final offer is a good and fair offer. It's the board's hope that at tomorrow night's meeting, the teachers will review the offer and make their decisions. I will now ask Board Member Christina Vera to the podium.
Thank you, Carol. Good evening. I am here tonight in hopes to remind everyone that we need to be focused on our students, every student. On behalf of our other school board members, I want to be clear that our efforts have been directed at having every student in the classroom on August the 24th with their friends, teachers, and staff members. As a parent of children who do attend our schools, I know our students are watching how we are treating each other and how we care for them. As I stated last night at last night's board meeting, student outcomes won't change until adult behavior changes. We have been negotiating with CEA in good faith and have provided a fair and respectful contract. I want our students to know that we are not fighting against each other. I want our students and families to know that the board is not fighting against our teachers. We are in this together. We are fighting for our students each and every day. We all want what is best for our students, and this board is dedicated to serving our students and school community and taking steps to provide a great learning environment for our students, our teachers, and all of our staff. Our students are watching our behavior, and you'll continue to hear me say that. I want them to see us working together. I want them to understand we are working for their benefit. We love our students, and we know our teachers do too. We are thankful for our teachers and the devotion they have to our schools and our students. And the board trusts that our CEA leadership will provide that contract to our teachers when they meet tomorrow evening. And that teachers will carefully read and consider our final offer. This is how we can ensure together that our students get back to the classroom with their teachers when the school doors open on August the 24th. Thank you. Now I'd like to have Board President Adair will now take any questions you may have.
Are there questions?
What is CCS's plan if CCA does choose to go on strike? Parents want to know, I think teachers have told us that they're at a point where they're fed up, but is there a plan in place and what is it?
Yeah, so it's very challenging when the rhetoric is out there around the potential strike, and it certainly does have everyone in the community on edge. I want to rest assure the community that we as a district are ready if that were to happen. That's part of our responsibility to our students. I'm confident that won't happen, and we don't want to unnecessarily make people panic. But we'll find out tomorrow, and we might be back here explaining then to our community what the strategies will be going forward.
So you guys aren't going to explain that right now?
No.
Parents, the entire community, kids have been through a lot over the past couple of years, a lot of uncertainty. This year, we're just weeks away with more uncertainty. What would your overall message be to those families right now who are watching and seeing? We don't quite know at the moment what the start of the school year is going to look like.
Right, it's really unfortunate. I mean, our entire community, our children have been through years of upheaval and things that are not normal. And it's really disappointing that we are in this space based on the adult behaviors that are happening. I want to let our community know that what the board has offered and what is outlined in our unfair labor practice is a very fair, respectful, competitive offer for our teachers. It values them, not just our teachers, all of the members of CEA who are librarians and social workers and all of them. And we hope that they take this under consideration, and we will have everyone back for a happy first day of school on the 24th.
President Adair, typically you guys don't talk about what is exactly in contract negotiations before it's all signed and done. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think there were a lot of questions on what exactly was in the contract and what wasn't in the contract.
So So we are here discussing the unfair labor practice, and that was filed based on misinformation that the CEA has provided to its members regarding our final offer. That is why we can speak about it. It is a public record, and you have copies of it. And so we wanted to make sure it was clear that that misinformation was cleared up so that those individuals that really need to consider what's out there have the ability to do so in full transparency.
But typically during negotiations, you wouldn't reveal that information publicly, correct?
Correct. This is part, a final offer, and as well as a process of unfair labor filings is part of the negotiation labor law process, and so us filing allows us to speak about what is in the filing.
There's been a lot of discussion about final offer recently. Is the CCS board willing to change or kind of move on anything to this point? Or final is final?
Yeah, so it's really a little bit, there's a lot of different terms for a final offer. This is actually not the final offer. There's another type of offer that can happen after this. I want to say the board never left the table. This is all part of the process, including giving a final offer. And so, you know, our hope is that we can reach an agreement with CEA, and we will have our staff ready to go for August 24th.
So just to be clear, are there things you might be willing to adjust on?
We are still very much in the negotiation process.
There's been a lot of talk about HVAC systems in school buildings. I heard what you mentioned earlier about the federal funding. Do you have a timeline on when these will be fixed in those school buildings?
Yes, we do have a timeline, and those exact dates were actually shared by our COO in last night's meeting. In general, our hope is that they will be completed by mid-September. We have a few systems because of supply chain issues that are waiting on parts. For example, in this building, if you'll notice, there is a rented air conditioning unit outside because we are waiting on parts to complete the fix here. So we are doing everything we can to ensure that our schools are ready temperature-wise as we, you know, finish the hot days of summer and start school.
What happens next after this file?
What happens after this filing? Well, this is a process with CERB, so it would be, you know, their process. There would be responses and decisions made by this governing body. So this is a separate process, and that could take, you know, whatever time period that takes for that organization to do. So this is the start of a labor process that we did today.
Anyone else?
Do you think this will hurt the relationship with CEA and CCS moving forward?
I believe that we have a strong relationship with our teachers. I think we all have the same mission and goals at heart in what we're doing for our students. I'm not going to stand here and say it's perfect. You heard Board Member Beckerly talk about the frustration, years of frustration that our staff, all of them, have had. And so we know it's a continual process to build relationships, to build trust, to feel respect, to feel value. And I know that we can get there. And that's, again, what this type of offer does that we filed about in the unfair labor practice with the misconceptions.
Derek, last question.
I think during last night's board meeting, you mentioned a class average size of being 22 kids per class. That being an average, some would be smaller, some would be larger, and I think there's still some current concerns about the larger ones out there. How would you address those concerns?
Absolutely. Currently, the district has an average class size of 22 students. This does not include classes of special students that ratios are set. So for example, special ed or English language learners. This is, I hate saying it this way, but it would be our typical standardized classrooms. So 22, it's an average. We know in this district, we have areas of town, certain schools, we have an open enrollment model where we do have schools that are over capacity, some that are under capacity, which means individual classrooms, the thousands of classrooms we have in this district, will range. 22 is an average. This is a priority for the board. This is a clear inequity, right? And so this is why the board and the district have also been working on our facility master plan process, why we voted months ago to put a ballot issue in front of the voters to address issues around our learning communities. We know our learning community structure is not optimal for modern-day current learning. So we're committed to be working on those. So it's an average, and we know that there are places that are above that average and below that we are going to work on to address those inequities.